This is already a disaster. Yeah. And it's true. Well, while I'm sorting this out, Gaz has been very energetic there, saying lots of things. This is going to be the World Cup of podcasts. I can say that as nice, innocent promotional material. This is why I asked Gaz to turn up 10 minutes early, just so I can make sure everything's good, everything's working. But Gaz is not capable of turning up that early. So hopefully, any second now, you'll be able to hear the good people talking. Gaz, give it a try.
As I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, that was actually the smoothest intro I've ever done. And you didn't hear it, ladies and gentlemen.
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good. Well, they didn't know that. Now they do. Thanks a lot, Asa. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this special day. A special show awaits all of you lovely people and, of course, highly esteemed company who join us once again to get swimming in the sauce. And I will definitely take some time to introduce these two lovely, illustrious gents, but I have to introduce Asa. This is the most he'll talk for the rest of the show, so savor these moments. No, it's not. We've changed things up. Asa won't shut up from now on. Asa, how are you?
I was great, and I was going to talk loads, but that particular start, that's like nightmare fuel for me. So now I'm just going to sulk in the corner for the next 2 hours, but it doesn't matter because people that have been here, it's been a little while since we've had Mike on the show. We've had Fonz a bit more recently, but Mike is a character, so I think we're going to have a good time whether I say anything or not. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. Two gents who don't actually hold back. Unfiltered truth. Fonz and Mike together. This is a recipe for disaster, but this is what we like here. We like free-flowing, raw discourse. And you're going to get that, ladies and gentlemen, especially from this next member of the RDX panel. I consider him a very close friend and looking pretty dank in that dashing bright red, purple, colorblind, red, pink. I don't know, one of those colors.
It's very it's in between those colors. It's good to be here. I can't remember the last time I was here. It's been a while though, Asa, like at least a couple of months or so.
I talked to you in the background a fair amount, so it feels more recent. But yeah, it's good to have you too.
I talk to you guys all the time. Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. We're gonna, it's good to be here with Mike because I know he keeps it real. I keep it real. I can't wait to get into it.
There's a Dragon Ball Z fusion dance happening right now. I say you love the Dragon Ball Z analogy. There it is. I know you missed them so much. You know what?
You got a guy in the chat that always says that I'm in a negative mood. So he's like, I hope Fonz is in a positive mood today.
Is that Capono? Of course, Capono. That's all he does. He talks shit in chat all the time. He's doing a dealer show. He does it in Culty. He will do it here. Capono, we see through you. And don't worry, there'll be lots of positivity.
I'm in a great mood. Mood.
Well, I'm glad you are, because some of these topics, we'll swim into it, and maybe there might be some critical stuff to discuss.
Oh, for sure.
But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, often requested, everyone's been bugging me, when are you going to get Mike roast? I thought, listen, I can't bug the guy. He is the founder of publishing outfit No More Robots, and twice that he came before, he left some shockwaves as he on the social media space. And that intro of his, if you missed it, go back and watch it, is very apt. Mike Rose of No More Robots, thank you so much, man.
Of course,
I can't wait.
Of course, always. It's always good fun. Yeah, I messaged you because I can't remember why I did, but I was checking when I was last on. It was like a fucking year ago.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, what? It was too long. So, it's, I think
I was very surprised by that.
Long. Yeah.
It was like him asking me, bro. I was just like,
well,
I always
in fairness,
feel like I'm bugging
I've been
you.
pretty busy, in fairness, but so maybe it was best if I was... focusing on the business, but no, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good fun.
Yeah, absolutely, it's gonna be fun. And it's the reason why I haven't been. Well, as soon as you hit me up, I said yes, get on the show, because I know I've follow you on Twitter, and you have been doing some bits, which leads me to people. For those who haven't caught our previous shows where you've been on, Noma Robots is a publishing outfit, which also routinely comes into conversations a lot in a lot of our discourse. You may have seen yourself get tagged. Sorry, but I have to tag you in that as an authority on some topics. I don't know any co-founders or founders of a publishing outfit, and yours isn't just any publishing outfit. You've had some massive successes. It comes into overlapping with a lot of conversations on things like sustainability of Xbox Game Pass and things like that. And then recently and congratulations to you. Congratulations to Let's Build a Zoo. Doing bits, as we say in London, doing mad bits.
Yeah.
Made $1 million in revenue. Now you're trillionaire, Micros.
That's it. You can tell from my surroundings that I'm rolling in cash. I'm extremely rich.
It's the same as it was in the last
Same as it was, yeah. This is what happens when you're a bajillionaire. You just deck yourself out in shit everywhere. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, well, Let's Build a Zoo. I'm sure that doesn't hurt the purse strings. You've got over 250,000 players on Let's Build a Zoo on Game Pass. Yeah. And best ever Switch launch, top of eShop in multiple regions. This is like, I'm just like a hype man right now. This is a rap song.
No, it's been interesting because we didn't know how it was going to go. We'd already put so for anybody who doesn't know this Let's Build a Zoo, it's a zoo management game. Of course it is. You can tell from the name. I had no idea how it was going to do on console, because actually these kind of games usually do a bit shit on console. Because they're not. It's not what they're made for, right? Like like the UI everywhere, the menus, and the teeny tiny text, and also it's like you sit and you have to focus, right? It's not really a console thing. If someone's sitting and playing like 2 Point Hospital, they're probably doing it on a PC. Right, you don't often hear people being like, "Oh, fucking love it on my PlayStation, mate." Like you don't often hear that. So we just didn't know how it was going to do, and a big part of like the last year, we put it out end of last year on PC, and then we spent like such a huge part of this year trying to make it not shit on console. Just completely redid all the controls and everything. It's like it's got this whole fucking radial thing going on. When you're holding a trigger, this big circle comes up, and you
radial menus.
Yeah. Absolutely, just stuck in circles everywhere. But we just had no idea how it was going to do, and so to see it do as well as it has been extremely pleasant.
That's amazing. Isla goes, "We toilet gamers appreciate the access." Wait, that sounds weird. That sounds really weird now that I read that. Isla, what? You're moderator as well. But not just God, that's throwing me off. What I was going to say is, other than the fact that Let's Build a Zoo is doing tremendously well on PC, what I found interesting is these stats. Well, okay, one, Game Pass. Again, for when the Descenders, I think, or would you say that Game Pass for the Descenders was transformative to its success?
Well, yeah, but the other thing about that was it made more sense, right? Like I think for that game, it's like it's a multiplayer game, it's an arcade game. Like it's the kind of game an Xbox is made for, really. Yes. Whereas this time around, like for me, the Zoo is it's less an Xbox game, right? It doesn't look, when you see it, I think really what you think is that looks like a PC game, and maybe that looks like a Switch game. And so I'm not as surprised we've done really well on Switch. But the level of people picking it up on Xbox has surprised me. Now, having said that, I've seen a lot of people saying they're like playing it on a touchscreen. They're playing it with xCloud or whatever the fuck it is they call it now. And they're sort of sat in bed on their phones using, because a really cool thing was that a few months ago, Xbox got in touch with us and they were like, right, we think the game might be big on touchscreen with xCloud. Can we build it for you? Give you a custom build of it. So we sent them a bunch of visuals. We sent them a bunch of little buttons and all that kind of stuff. And they built a whole UI for it. So when you play Zoo on xCloud, it looks different to how when you play, you know, other games normally on xCloud.
Wow.
So I think because of that, that might also help there. But yeah, in general,
how often does that happen? How does Microsoft get in touch and say, we'll do the work for you to build it on xCloud? That's kind of crazy and proactive.
I think they're getting in touch with some people, yeah, but like obviously we've had games on Game Pass before and I never shut the fuck up. So like I think maybe they feel like they can kind of come to me and say that kind of thing to me. But yeah, no, that was really fun. So yeah, just in general, really, really blown away by how it has done on Game Pass, really, this one in particular. So
yeah, I mean, this one didn't necessarily. Well, I was going to say I didn't expect this one to blow up on Xbox Game Pass, but another interesting facet is this bit. A lot of people say that, you know, they've seen it all the time. Devs don't make money. In fact, they actually tagged you and said, "Oh, he's not a developer. I'm like, he owns a publishing outfit, and one of your developers under your umbrella actually came back and said, I don't remember the name. He says, what the fuck are you talking about? He's helped us sell loads of our games." And the guy shut up. It was quite funny. It's their Twitter space. But this point here, that the last bullet point on your tweet, which you pushed on the 6th of October, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there it is. DLC. I don't know if I've ever seen an attach rate that high. 80%.
Yeah, we've actually never done DLC before. That's not true. We did like a little small silly story thing for one of our previous games, but really we kind of put our games out and we don't tend to do DLC. The thing with this game was that they built this up. There's this dinosaur DLC for Zoo. It's fucking massive. Like it's massive. So we were like, well, it's probably all right if we just charge $10 for this. It's fucking gigantic.
Yeah.
And
don't worry, but some companies have made a sequel out of it.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm there being like, oh my god, I feel so bad that I've made a $10 DLC, and EA's like, like it's just like that's all it fucking is. But yeah, I had no idea how that was gonna do. One of the cool things that's come out in the last week is that like we've actually sold more DLC on Xbox than the base game because because obviously people are buying the base game who don't have Game Pass, or they're buying the base game if they do have Game Pass but they just want to own the game. But because we've got so many players on Game Pass, we're actually some of those people are then just buying the DLC. So we've actually ended up seeing more DLC sales on Xbox than base game sales, which is obviously mental.
That's crazy.
But but people who are buying it together, people who are buying like the bundle, it's like 80%. It's ridiculous. You don't usually see that high, so yeah, exciting.
Because that then represents an example of a game that's not typically poised to be your Game Pass game with multiplayer facets into it. I mean, this is, like you say, it doesn't even seem like it's a traditional fit for consoles.
No,
and then
it doesn't. And you know, Descenders is constantly like one of the top 25 games on Game Pass because we get all these reports back from Xbox. So we know that Descenders, for some fucking reason, is still gigantic on the system. And then we've had other games on Game Pass which have done great. You know, don't get me wrong, they've had hundreds of thousands of downloads and we've been happy. But Zoo currently is like seeing the same numbers as Descenders has been seeing, which obviously for me is like, holy fuck, yes.
This is all lies. Nobody cares about Game Pass. Nobody cares about it.
I know. And it's funny. It's funny to me that even now, how long has this debate been going on? Like, genuinely.
It'll never end.
Just fucking years. And for some reason, I still get all the same comment. Well, how could you be making money? Well, nobody. Oh, well, this is like the 5th game we've put on fucking Game Pass. We've got 7 more coming. Yeah, but I'm doing it because we don't make any fucking money. And I'm a twat. What? And I don't know how many times I have to tell people over and over again, no, believe me, we're doing this because it works extremely nicely for us.
Well, you get those people out there who say, well, I only paid $1 and I've got 3 years of Game Pass, so there's no way you're making money. It's like,
Yeah.
Jeez, you don't know how.
And the thing is, that's great. You know what? That is absolutely great for you that you managed to find that deal. But the money we make is not based on whether you cheaped out on Game Pass or not. Like,
you're not waiting for everybody's dollar to come in to month. That's not what you're waiting for.
No, I'm not like, oh, fuck. Like, Jimmy only
canceled today.
Jimmy only spent, we're going to have to shut the studio down now because he's not paid enough for fucking Game Pass.
Yeah.
And those people don't understand that. Like, yeah, you got a deal. Doesn't mean changes how much Microsoft's going to pay you and how much you make from Onward DLC. So, well done.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yes, all I can say is there have been absolutely no complaints from any of the devs we've worked with so far. So, yeah.
I'm still quite taken aback by Microsoft, actually. And, I often criticize them for sometimes their laziness, perhaps, on some front. But them being really proactive enough to look at your game and say, let's build a zoo, would do really well on mobiles and other touchscreen devices. We will offer to build the UI for you on those devices, and they do the work.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think the key point here, which I've kind of said before, but has become even more prevalent now, is that you can really tell, like, that Game Pass is their future. Like, the consoles are always going to be important, but like, I don't know how many subscribers there are on Game Pass anymore. They've not updated us in a while. I think what they said 25 mil earlier this year or something
like that.
It's got to be a lot more than that at this point. But the other point, of course, is that it's not just the number of subscribers they've started getting. It's the accessibility of the platform as well at this point. There's all this stuff that's been coming out about how they're getting it built into TVs. You're just going to you'll be able to buy, you're going to end up being able to buy a TV that comes with a fucking Xbox controller, and you've just got an Xbox in your TV built straight in. And it'll be like, you'll buy the TV and it'll be like, enter this code and you'll get Game Pass for a year. And that's how they're going to fucking get you, because you're going to be like, well, of course I'm going to do that. Then you're going to and you'll become reliant in the same way that you've become reliant on Netflix, etc. You'll become reliant on, you've got Game Pass on your TV. And then that's
very similar to hard drugs. That's quite.
It's extremely similar to hard drugs, I would say. Yeah, specifically heroin. But yeah, like it's fucking genius. Let's be honest. Like, it's what they've basically done. They're trying to do what Nintendo have done for years. Nintendo jumped out of the entire conversation years ago by just not being involved. You never go, oh, it's Xbox versus PlayStation versus Nintendo, because Nintendo are off doing their own fucking shit. Like, they don't give a shit whether how you think they're doing compared to Xbox. And Xbox are now trying to do that. They're trying to jump out of the conversation and go, we're not against PlayStation anymore. Like, we are building this Game Pass thing, and it's going to outlast this whole argument.
It's smart too, because you've seen like other players in the game, like Stadia, cloud gaming. They've stepped out, and it's because of those options that Microsoft brings to the table. Why they're so successful. It's just that simple. It's the option. And the fact that they're putting it on more platforms, and they're willing to put it on, any platform if they're willing to have Game Pass. They'd put it on PlayStation if they'd allow it, It's all those options and all those platforms that make Game Pass successful. And it'll continue to be, as long as they keep providing the good games and stuff like that, putting them in there. It's going to be a force. It really
but that's interesting you say that, Fond, because, and Mike, both of you are speaking highly of Game Pass there, but there are a few detractors. One of a content creator, Colin Moriarty, is quite well known. He still is on the fence on this whole thing. He sees it as a massive gamble. Don't you see a correlation between what a lot of these guys say and what they're a major fan base of? A lot of these guys who talk that way are indeed Sony fans. Yeah,
Sony.
And is that what's the reason for the reluctance to accept that Game Pass is a force? Because now we've got Mike. I'll tell you.
Let me answer that real quick. What it comes down to is a lot of these guys that are indeed Sony guys They're worried because they're worried that their favorite console there, the PlayStation, that Sony is going to just stop putting out games that they normally do. They're worried that this third-person action adventure, cinematic, focused gaming and stuff will somehow go away if they concentrate on something else, like gas games now. They're worried about that they're making all these gas games. But where, the industry is headed towards this direction, and, in the future, you're going to get streaming, games. That's just the way it's going to be, at one day when they figure out the latency and all that. That is going to be the main option for most people. Right now, it's not. And that's why Microsoft has all these options. Sony doesn't have all of this set in place yet. I mean, they have their own sort of Game Pass with that PlayStation Network, but come on, it's not the same. And they're not doing day and date really or anything like that yet. We'll get into all that later, but I think that's the big thing. They don't want to, they're just worried about Sony changing too much. That's what I think it is, because this is pushing other people to change. Game Pass is making a change in the industry.
There are. So any change does have some downsides attached. Like you have to recognize those to be able to say that you're balanced in this conversation. So, for example, and this is a question for Mike, because you've obviously, you've obviously had several games go to Game Pass and seen massive success there. How do you see the Xbox ecosystem for the other games that don't get that spotlight, that don't land on Game Pass? Does the ecosystem still thrive if a game like Let's Build a Zoo doesn't get that Game Pass deal? As a hypothetical, is there any harm as a publisher outside of Game Pass?
What we normally find, and this is just this is specifically for us, but we always find that in general, we'll put a game out. Historically, we've put a game out on PC, and then afterwards we've put it on console, and we've started to do a lot more sim ships due to Game Pass. Because a lot of the time Xbox say to us, we'll have it on Game Pass as long as you do day one on Game Pass, which is fucking fair enough. So we've started to do a lot more of that kind of thing. What we normally find is that when we put a game out on PC and then we put it out on console, it doesn't do as well on console for us. We usually find that PC has been like our platform. And there's tons of reasons for that. Part of it is that I sign PC games. I mean, again, look at Zoo. It's clearly a PC game. A lot of the stuff I sign is better on PC. But the other thing is that in general, it's so much easier to sell a game on PC because there's so many avenues that you can find. For example, if you follow a lot of game devs, you will never hear them shutting the fuck up about get us some Steam wish lists, get us wish lists, wish list our game, etc. I'm taking the piss, but that's what I do. I'm like, wish list our fucking games, and I'll never shut. And we'll do a lot of that. We do Steam Next Fest. There's a bunch of festivals that we can go in before a game comes out on Steam. All the shit that you see on Steam all the time. And there's just a lot of promotional things you can do towards a PC launch. When it comes to a console launch, it can be a lot harder. There are just less avenues. And this isn't, it's not really a criticism of any of the platforms. It's just the way it is. On PC, because you're on a PC, it just means there's a lot more ways on that PC to be getting through to people. Whereas if someone's on a Switch or they're on an Xbox, how can I hit them? If you're on an Xbox, how am I selling my game to you? How am I going to do it other than you are a person who actively goes and sees what games are coming soon and tries to read reviews and stuff? Or there's nowhere on the Xbox that tells you, right? Or on the Switch that tells you. You'll get these little coming soon bits that show games that are coming for the next few days. But otherwise, it actually can be quite difficult to sell games on console. And so because of that, a lot of the time we do see our games doing better on PC. If the question of if the question is do games sell worse on Xbox now that Game Pass is there? That's not something we've seen. We've seen games doing roughly as well as they were before Game Pass, doing exactly as they do on Xbox, and exactly as they do on PlayStation, etc. It's more that when we do get one of these Game Pass deals, it's like we don't even need to roll the dice on it anymore. You know, we don't have to be like, oh, we're going to put it on Xbox and hopefully it's going to make its money back and that will be great. Now we're just like going straight into day one. Like, hey,
how much of that is driven by the cash you receive up front, as opposed to, do you have to consider, I mean, I'm not going to ask you how much they actually pay you for per game. I don't think you're allowed, well, you're not allowed to say anyway, but what is, I mean, is that alone good enough to like make it a no-brainer, or is there a consideration? Well, how will this?
Yeah. So a conversation I've been having with a lot of people recently is that the answer is, for some people, hell yeah, and for other people, it's more iffy, because it's all starting to come down to, well, how much did that fucking game cost you to make? Because of our size, we are the perfect size for Game Pass. Like, no more robots. The size of the games we make and how much they cost is always, compared to like what going on to Game Pass is worth, the maths always make sense for us. It's always beautiful for us, and in some cases, it's insanely beautiful for us. You know, like the sort of maths on it is like, whoa, fuck. But for other studios, and I want to say, you know, like what you'd call like AA studios, where they are spending several million on games and all that kind of stuff, and they're really hoping this game's going to kick off and it's going to be huge for them. For those studios, it is more of a gamble, because it's more like they're happy for the deal, but they also need the game to do exceptionally well as well. They need both of those things to be true. And I think that in a lot of those cases, a lot of those studios are scared. Like, a lot of those studios are scared of trying to take that risk. But maybe the one thing that a lot of them aren't understanding is that they're seeing Game Pass. Some of these studios are seeing Game Pass as like a zero-sum style thing. They're seeing it as like, they think they're going to go on Game Pass and they've lost all of those consumers. Like, they get like X number of downloads and now that's how many sales they've missed. And obviously that's not true whatsoever. It's not even slightly true. It's like when people are like, oh, fucking 90% of people are pirating my game. Look how much money I would have made if it wasn't on Pirate Bay. It's not true. And I think that's what's happening here. I think a lot of studios are getting caught up in, oh, well, if my game is downloaded 5 million times on Game Pass, I've just missed 5 million times how much money. And we could have made that much. And it's not even slightly true. It's not even that many people weren't going to buy your game. They're only downloading it because they've got Game Pass. So they get to try it. So the maths is tricky. The maths is tricky for some people.
Yeah.
But I feel like overall, it's still a very good thing. Yeah. And it's just that, I mean, I'm not in that business. I'm not in the... let's put fucking millions and millions into a game, and I don't. That's not me. That's not how we do it. So it's tricky for me to understand their point of view on it.
I think it's
good. Why don't you just spend less?
You've also, though, like you've said before, obviously Game Pass, the maths is simple. You get your money, and that's great for the games that you're making. But it's also beneficial for you. You were talking about how few avenues there are to get exposure for your game in the first place. And you've said before, when you were talking about Let's Build a Zoo, you said that you've actually seen an uptick in Nintendo Switch sales because it's got this exposure, it's got this spotlight, it's got this marketing, it's front and center when you turn an Xbox on or a PC. My PC fires up the stupid Xbox app and Let's Build a Zoo is right there. So that kind of stuff carries weight beyond the money as well and carries to other platforms. Let's Build a Zoo was your first PlayStation game as well, wasn't it?
PS5 game. We'd had games on PS4, but it was our first PS5 game. And obviously it's hard to actually work out the numbers, right? It's hard to be like, Game Pass is causing X number of sales on other platforms. There's no way for me to know the exact number, but we know it is happening a lot. Even in just like the uptick of sales we can see from it being on Game Pass. And we've certainly seen, we know it happens on with Descenders. We know that we sell shitloads on PC after people play it on Game Pass because they want the flexibility of playing it on PC. And also the PC version has some, like the PC version's got modding in it. It's got like mods in it, and we can't put that in the Xbox version because Xbox have like rules around modding. So a lot of people like pick up the game, they play it on Xbox. They're like, oh man, I've seen like some videos on YouTube of people playing in this real place, riding around on a bike in this real place, and so they go pick up the PC version so they can.
How do you track that?
places.
How do you ascertain that's the trend? How do you pick up an Xbox guy who's played it and then gone off to PC? How do you figure that out?
That's the thing; it's very tricky to, but we can see, but we get messages a lot. So, like, we have for example, we have like a huge Discord server for Descenders that has like 50,000 people in it or something, and we get people on a daily basis saying this, like saying, "Oh, I got the game because of A, B, and C," and on the Steam forums and shit like that. I mean, I always talk about Descenders like I understand it, and I really don't. For years I've been lying that I understand this fucking game. I don't know why Descenders continues to do as well as it has. My very small understanding, of course, good game, sure, but my very small understanding of this whole situation is that everyone knows how to ride a fucking bike, and so when they're looking on Game Pass, because I think I worked out the other day that like it's something like more than 50% of people who have Game Pass have downloaded Descenders now. Or something like that, which is obviously fucking huge.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, like that's
over 50%.
Something like that. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I was trying to work out the numbers because every now and again I decide to delve into the Descenders numbers, and I'm like wading through shit because there's so many fucking numbers. And I think I was realizing the other day, at this point, it's at least close to 50%.
If it's at 30 million, it'll be like 15 million. That's pretty mad. That's pretty mad.
Insane. Yeah. But again, it's like because you're scrolling through Game Pass, right? And you're like, oh, which ones interest me? I'm going to install a bunch. And I guess eventually everyone's like, oh, well, I've heard about this fucking Descenders one. It's got a picture of a bike, and I know what bikes are, so maybe I'll give it a crack. Obviously, a huge portion of those people. I think when I was looking at stats, it's something like 20. So we get all the downloads we get for Descenders. 20% of them continue playing after a week. So after a week, I guess you call it retention. Like after a week, 20% of those people who tried it on Game Pass are then continuing to play it after a week. And it was like after a month, 10% of those people are still playing it. And then after like 3 months, 3% are still playing it. And
you're obviously going to get diminishing returns.
Yeah, and that was batshit to me as well.
The length of the sustainability.
Numbers,
yeah, because if people are still, if that portion of people are still playing it, we're getting hundreds of thousands of download every month, and that portion of people are still playing it after a month. Those are big numbers.
Means you have a good game. Hence, Mike.
It's certainly to do with being a good game. But it's part of the reason why we've supported the game for so long. And
you must have copycats now, surely, trying to mimic
on mobile. Certainly, that we launched the game on mobile this year, and that was a pain in the ass because, like, the Android store in particular, but the App Store as well, just filled with bullshit. Like literally for days, Descenders didn't go to the top of the search results because so many other fucking games had the word Descenders in their description or had it as a keyword, but not even just shit, like some big games as well. Like there's a fucking like Red Bull game which is a whole other Red Bull Hate Me, which is a really exciting story. It's an exciting story for another day. But they've got this biking game, and it's pretty fucking clear that they've stuck the word Descenders in every little like keyword
SEO
thing
search term.
Because when you search Descenders, that game is coming up constantly.
I think mobile market's really murky, really dodgy. Flappy Bird
it's been tricky. I to be fair, for me, I was as lame as it sounds, I was excited just to do it, just to see what mobile was like. I like fucking around with these kind of things. But it was definitely tricky because of that.
Okay.
But
Splendor first, thank you for the $2 super chat. He goes, do you still get your royalties after your first bag? I mean, I don't know if You
This
would.
is
Would
a
you?
good
You just get
question.
paid-
Like, is it
After
in
your
your
first bag,
financial
what's
best
a
interest? Yeah.
Bag of money,
Do you still get
dollar
paid
sign
beyond
on it.
that?
Oh, bag of money, right? What you mean in terms of when the game's selling? Yeah, we still receive the money when the game's selling.
Not the selling though.
No,
Like,
as
if
in
you've
on
got a
Game
game that's
Pass.
launched onto Game Pass, is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's done and dusted. You got your money, or does it depend? Obviously, you can't go into the details of your contracts, but like when you got those millions of people in
really go
December.
into the details of that, but the answer is sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's the incredibly vague answer that I can give you.
Well, I mean, that's the legally safe answer, so I don't want you to get in trouble as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your backdrop's going to look significantly different.
Yeah.
Just bars
It's
in front of
it's
you.
gonna look less shit. Yeah.
It's going to look less. No, it's not so bad. Alvin, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, because Gaz is the most entertaining muted man in podcasting. This panel is amazing. Going to be a great show. Alvin, thank you so much for that. And it is. Dan Lazaro, what are you going to say? But thank you for the $5 super chat. Glad Mike is back on the show. It's been really downhill since his last appearance. I'm kidding, you guys. He says, I'm kidding. You guys are okay, I guess. Thank you for that, Dan. I expected that. Purple Tree Frog, thank you for the £5 super chat. Watching Small Soldiers with my daughter, so can't watch live, but looking forward to catching up the source later. Purple Tree
Great
Frog
movie.
with a silver
Great
badge.
movie.
Thank you. That's very lovely of you. Brazilian, someone's called themselves Brazilian regulator. This is how serious they take this, and we will get into it. But shout out to you with a brilliant username and the £4.49 super chat. It goes, Pony say, support the devs, PlayStation fanboys say support the devs, but proceed to the GameStop second-hand bin to get their used games, which devs, Sony, or publishers get nothing from. That's a point to be made, Brazilian regulator. You seem to be biased there. Should you be referring to one of your... well, I'm sure you're not the actual one, but that's
I'd like bribe money though. That would be good.
Yeah, we'll take it. This is what we're doing right now. Jay, thank you for the $5 super chat. Been a while since I was sent a super chat your way, so here you go. Thank you so much. Happy belated birthday, Asa. I see you fond. Thank you, Jay. This is where you say thank you, Jay.
See you too.
Oh, yeah, I very much. I did in the chat when the super chat came in. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yadani, thank you for being a member for 13 months, sorry, and sporting the sexy blue badge. Is that the maximum? No, there's another tier beyond that. But thank you for that. He goes, when making the sauce, do you ever have to procure pre-made salt from third-party vendors like Oh No, it's Alex or Fritanga? Or do you mine yours organically? Organically! And it's not just salt, it's Coke. But thank you so much for that super chat. Shout out to you, Blaze. It's not an Xbox podcast, Blaze. But yeah, no, before we move on, what's in store for a little... I mean, this could be in the end of the show, but while we've got 330 people watching, smash that like button. Do share with us. What is it? What's in store next for the trillionaire, whatever you are now, Mike, Rose, and No More Robots? What's in store for you?
What's in store for us? Well, we got a game called Fashion Police Squad that just came out on PC. Which is a boomer shooter where instead of killing people with blood gushing everywhere, you shoot them with a sewing machine to help fix their look.
Wow.
And that we put that on PC and it's done extremely well. We got the reviews are crazy good, and I'm hoping we're gonna get that on Xbox next month. If things go according to plan, I'm hoping we're getting it. If it's not, it might be January because we'll probably dodge December then, because putting games out in December is a fucking terrible idea. And also, I just want to sleep for the whole of December. Well, yeah, because all the I was about to say all the AAA shit comes out here, but there isn't any at the moment. So, but yeah, normally we try to dodge December. So if we miss November, we'll do it in January. And then we've also got we've got a game called Soccer Story coming out extremely soon.
I know that one.
It's like an open world football game. Where you solve all your problems by kicking a football at them.
This will do well in Brazil.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is definitely getting fucking Brazilian Portuguese translations in it. Yeah, we're aiming to, oh yeah, 100%. We're aiming to put that out in November during the event that's occurring in November to do with football that I'm not allowed to say the name of, because if you use the mug of champions that's occurring in a country in the East later this year, it's going to come out round about there. And that's it. Yeah,
this message was sponsored to you by Qatar Airways. Oh man. Oh well, that's good. How? I mean, this is a problem for the devs. Like, what are you smoking to come up with that game? And who's the target demographic of a first-person?
Well, it's a
game?
It's a British studio. It's actually the studio. You know, we've got this game, Not Tonight, that was like a anti-Brexit sim. It's that studio who are making it, called Panic Barn. And it's fucking hilarious. Like, it's a good game, but also it's fucking hilarious.
It's quite clever. It's quite clever.
Yeah, it's
if you change the shoes, there should be a soundbite goes, "What are those?" And then you keep changing those. That's my idea.
Sure, yeah. But it's
I enjoyed it until you called it a boomer shooter, and now I feel bad for playing it.
Yeah,
there's loads of them. Proteus is another one that's doing really well. That's true. There's a good chat. But an open world football game, football fonts, not soccer. Football.
Well, no, because it's called Soccer Story though. It's called Soccer Story. Because when we said that that's all the name was, people were like, "It's fucking football. I'm not gonna play it." But the thing is, the thing you got to understand is that obviously the majority of people who are likely going to be playing it are American, because that's what happens when you sell a game. The biggest country is always America for every game ever.
Even football games.
Well, this is the thing. If we'd called it, Football Fable instead, then maybe we would have got like more sales in Europe, but maybe we would drop sales in America because they're like, this isn't football. What are you talking about? So
your EA was better than your American.
What are you talking about? I'm walking here, so that's the thing. Like, we have to call it Soccer Story so that everybody understands what it is. Everyone knows what soccer is. Not everyone knows what football is. Football's different things to different people. Soccer's the same thing to everybody.
It's soccer.
You can tell Fonz does voice acting, by the way.
Yeah,
he does. He actually
does.
Well,
we probably need someone to say Soccer Story on like the title screen, so you could do that maybe. That would be good.
Do it now on the spot. Right, this is the audition. Go on with reverb. Turn the reverb on. Say Soccer Story.
Soccer Story.
Oh, it's fucking perfect. That was perfect.
Actually, it is perfect.
The thing is, I don't need to pay you now because I can just go back in the YouTube.
There you
go. Oh man, Fonz, you're made for it. Give me your autograph before you're famous. Splendoriferous, thank you so much for the $2 super checkers. You know you're gonna be good. Splendoriferous goes, can't forget the big man Wagwan brethren. Rah. I love you, Splendoriferous, as always, and good for the earlier super chat. Was a very good one as well. But when are we talking on party chat? But shout out to you, and shout out to everyone in the chat as well. Please hit the like button. We're gonna get into this. Is gonna be so much fun. I want to pick both of your Gen Springs, although I know where you kind of sit. Actually, we're in a party chat talking about this Fonz, and now this is gonna be interesting with Mike. Let's and we talked about this on RDX. CD Projekt Red. Now, Mike, you know this shit, all the shitstorm that happened with Cyberpunk, and we had a pretty heated debate on this. So I'd be really interested to get your take on it. When it faltered as it did at launch, a lot of people were putting blame on the studio. Some were saying it's actually the publisher. You guys, Mike Rose, or not you guys, but the publishers or the managers and the unrealistic expectations. And now it's seeing a bit of a revival, all spurred on by an anime, which is a brilliant anime. But it's doing well. They've got huge plans now, and I made a video on it on the channel. Before we go into what's going next, just your quick take on how would you, as the gent that you are, in such, just occupying this high station, what would you say as a publisher? Looking at that, thinking, is there alarm bells there? Who's at fault? Is it really you? Are you vicarious liable?
When the game first came out, I think one of the major problems that they had, really overall, was timing. That was, for me, one of the hardest things, because the problem was that when Cyberpunk came out, it was at the turn of a generation. It was the old generation's going out, the new one's coming in. And the game had definitely been delayed. Every game is delayed. So clearly that game was meant to be ready a long time before. And they'd fallen into this trap of, right, there's now a new generation, so we now have to make this game incredible on this new generation. But, oh, fuck, there's no PS5s available. There's no Xboxes available. Mm-hmm. So the only way we're going to sell any fucking copies of this is on the previous generation. But, oh, fuck, we've now bulked this game up so fucking heavy, it won't fucking run anymore. So now, oh, fuck, we're going to have to spend months trying to make this thing work. And it just never fucking was going to. In the state it was never going to. And unfortunately, for me, they just fell into this trap of, well, what do we do now? We can't just put it out on next gen because no one fucking owns next gen. We will sell zero. We can put it out on PC and that'll be fine. Because realistically, that was the big problem, wasn't it? Like, I know there were other ones as well. I know there was problems with bugs, A, B, and C, about the game. But really, the things that were going around a lot of the launch were, look how fucking shit this looks on PS4. Like, look how garbage it's running on a base PS4 and all this. If they had not launched on the base, on the Xbox One and PS4, and they'd just done it next gen, I don't think there would have been as much shit around it.
I agree with you.
I think it's likely they would have got, because every game's, but I'm not being funny, every game's fucking buggy at the start, and they could have smashed through all those bugs in a short amount of time, realistically. But the problem was it came out, and what do you think that their focus was? Do you think the focus was on these bugs that people are talking about, or do you think it was on the fact that PlayStation were threatening to take the entire game off their store because it literally didn't run on a whole fucking platform? Mm-hmm. They obviously, behind the scenes, were like far past panic stations. And it was, what the fuck are we going to do? And it was incredibly distracting to them. That decision, it was a hard decision to make. I'm sure there was plenty of pressure from investors. And it was very much like... But realistically, it will have been the delays on the game that will have caused that. It will have been that they were aiming for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It started to slip. They will have been told years before about the new platforms. So they'll have known the PS5 and the Xbox and the Series X were coming years before any of us did. So they will have then at that point been like, shit, we need to now build these games for that. And they just couldn't have known that the pandemic would happen and that there'd be zero fucking consoles available. I'm saying all of this like I'm like trying to defend them or something. I actually don't give a shit. Like I'm not like I like The Witcher. The Witcher was great. I actually didn't really like Cyberpunk. I actually thought it was I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10 game. I had no huge feelings about it. But guessing at the things that have happened behind the scenes, I did feel a bit sorry for them. I did feel a bit sorry for what had happened, because clearly, like, how many people worked on that game? There will have been artists and programmers and all these people who were so fucking excited for this game they'd worked for. I don't even know how many years, 6, 7. I don't know how long it was in development, and for 10. That launch to happen, and it out of their control as well. Think how many QA people behind the scenes were going to their managers and going, it doesn't fucking run. Like, it doesn't run on a PS4. Please don't make us do this anymore. Please don't launch it. They all knew. They all knew it was about to happen.
Yeah, which makes there's some of the statements before the launch of it horribly negligently misrepresenting what it was.
I think it's just that they were caught between a rock and a fucking hard place in the end. Like they couldn't just not put it out on last gen anymore.
Yeah,
like they'd spent how many millions had they poured into this? They told all their investors they were going to do it. They told the platforms they were going to do it, and now. I don't know. You hit the nail on the head there. I fully agree with you. It is literally that. It was the perfect storm of fuckeries. They can quote that. The perfect storm of fuckeries is combined with this weird transition period, weird COVID situation, unprecedented, not enough silicon, not enough user base to get buying your next-gen console. Still going quite ambitious, at least aiming to be, because their spiel about what the game was supposed to be and why it ended up being two different things, scaling back down. And the evidence is in the fact that their DLC expansion has completely cut away with last gen. It just said no.
And I want to add too, it's not just the fact that it didn't run well on last gen, or the bugs even. It was also the fact that they not only scaled back in terms of, what they were probably pushing graphically or whatever, but what they did was they took out whole mechanics in the game. There was several features that a lot of people were looking forward to that they just stripped away. And my thought is, I think that they did that because it couldn't, the old generation consoles couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
The wall running and all that stuff that they wanted to do.
The player choice. Although that's more for game design thing, but you're right. I think you're right.
But again, a really hard thing in all of this conversation, which I guess isn't thought about that much, is that like you're absolutely right. A lot of the stuff that they kind of sort of promised didn't happen, and I think that's what disappointed a lot of people. The difficulty is that we just have no clue how much distraction there was in terms of them just trying to get this fucking thing running well on anything. Not just that, but fair play to them. They were doing this during the pandemic as well. They were one of the only it came out end of 2020, right? If I remembering that. So like they were one of the only AAA games to come out that year. Like I don't fucking know how they managed that, but somehow they got that game out. If the pandemic hadn't happened, there's no doubt in my mind that game would have been in better nick, but on the day it came out, 1,000,000% it would have.
There was definitely some issues I took with it, but at the end of the day, I really enjoyed my playthrough. I played it and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. They have good storytelling there at CDPR. I liked some of the characters and stuff. So it's too bad they had all those issues happen, because it really gave that development studio a black eye when that happened. And
that's
the biggest thing. I think. I think the biggest thing is that they've come out of it quite badly, and again, it's sad. For me, they semi brought it on themselves a little bit. That this has happened.
Well, definitely.
We say all of this, but then like. Last week when they announced like 1 million new Witchers and a new Cyberpunk and all this, the entire I did not see a single maybe you guys saw a negative reaction, I don't know, but all I saw was people being like, holy fuck, can't wait. Like we talk like it's her.
It's always gotta be an American with you, Mike.
Man.
All right, hang on. Oh blimey, mate. This looks fucking
oh mate. Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking buy Cyberpunk again,
It's like realistically, I know this is going to sound really bad to say, but like gamers have such short memories. Like literally all of this fucking CDPR gets at like games, and everyone's like, fucking yeah. Like, and no one's like,
anime was nice. It's like,
last time, the thing that they delivered was it. No one's like that. People are just like, like they cannot fucking wait. So like,
Unreal Engine 5,
whoa, my favorite engine. Like,
it's so true. It's so true, and it's weird because the Cyberpunk really directly has seen a resurgence because of an anime series, an incredible anime series but it brought me in. I love the world. The anime story was told beautifully. I have to just experience it again, and I just went and done it. But in fairness to someone like CD Projekt Red, compared to, and you're gonna love this, 343 Industries, I have a massive more faith in CD Projekt Red. One, you have to give them props, man. They literally laid bare their full roadmap, and that's it. I mean, the Project Serious. I've got the notes there because I've made a fucking video on it. There's loads of shit. Oh, I've deleted all the slides because I'm a piece of shit. But yeah, oh no, here you go. Look, Project Serious. You've got Project Polaris and Project Canis Majoris. They've got one Witcher game that is going for the mass market, which is going to be the tricky one, because
I don't know about that. Yeah,
it's going to have multiplayer, so they're kind of going for the masses. I think it's smart. Because the hardcore RPG of it can alienate some, even me when it comes to time.
Yeah,
fucking one side quest in The Witcher takes longer than some games, man. It's like crazy.
But they're fantastic. That one side quest is better than most games out there. It's
so true. It's so true.
What they really did well with The Witcher was, and it's really easy to see when you compare it with like an Assassin's Creed. Like you play an Assassin's Creed. Don't get me wrong, Assassin's Creed is fine. Like I've played multiple of them. I must feel like they're okay because I play them. But then you play The Witcher or you play Elden Ring, and you're like, okay, right. So this is what it doesn't look like when I'm doing a fucking paint by numbers RPG. Like, just like pick up a quest, walk to the thing, kill the person. I've done it. Pick up a quest, walk to the thing, and that's the whole of Assassin's Creed. Whereas in The Witcher, it felt like every single time I was like doing a side quest, somehow, they were logically peeling it into everything else. And someone would say a voice line during that side quest about some fucking shit I did like 5 hours ago or something. I honestly, when I was playing that game, I couldn't even work out how logically it was working. That is amazing.
That's a true RPG.
That is the one thing that really freaking just blew my mind when I finished the game, and everything that I did was like it all intertwined. Everything was cohesive, and it was just such a great story and a bunch of little stories. Well, not little, but massive little stories there that it just all came together. And there really is.
I didn't feel like that happened in Cyberpunk.
No.
Like in Cyberpunk, it felt more like it felt like a Fallout game or something like that. It felt like things weren't intertwined.
A little bit more disjointed with the story.
That was disappointing.
But it wasn't terrible by any means. I really enjoyed my playthrough with Cyberpunk as well. I'm glad they're making another one.
It's the core story that carried it, no? Would you say that, Fonz?
Yeah, no, I like some of those side stories in Cyberpunk. Okay. I still think that they are really great storytellers there. Whoever's doing the writing there,
even the Delamain missions.
No, I could have done less with those taxi missions, but yeah, I loved some of the main characters, the side characters that
they
you
were
would
brilliant
help out and stuff. There was some great moments there, but yeah,
and some of that might go away though.
Level.
Now, the
thing I like about Cyberpunk the most is the world. I like that whole Cyberpunk, the music and everything. It just screams like this futuristic 80s vibe, and that's just me.
Blade Runner.
That's me.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is. It's me and you both. I'd love to be in that kind of world. Well,
yeah.
I'll change some bits. My hands are hurting. I'll definitely get a cybernetic arm just to help me. No, Project Serious.
How many pits do you have to replace though before you're not human anymore?
That's a good question.
That's a serious question. Like, how many parts do you replace? Or is there a specific part that you replace?
Anime touched on those themes in 10 episodes better, than my opinion, than Cyberpunk 2077 did in the totality of it. because even getting cybernetic changes was just like an Excel spreadsheet. Go to the menu, change your ocular implant, and here I am stupidly expecting some kind of mini CGI cutscene or some cutscene where something is coming in and burrowing into my eyes. Show me, I'm changing my body. I'm forsaking my flesh.
You know what? You know what already did it really well though. If you played like I was going to say they've been out for ages, but the new Deus Ex games. Like Mankind Divided. Those touched on all of those kind of things, and they did it very well. And I would say that world was as good as Cyberpunk's world.
Yeah, I like Deus Ex's world. It's very, and they really go into the cybernetics and the body rejecting the cybernetics a lot. The anime did that. Yeah. There's more scope for it, but it's good news for Cyberpunk fans. And this is what people always say: I'm massively pessimistic, but I really think, and you can mark my words here. You know what? I'll go out on a limb here, and you can film it. People who want to, throw eggs at my face like Asa once did when I was wrong about the Series S price. This Cyberpunk game, Project Orion, is their attempt to fix everything. I mean, the wording, I can glean from the wording that they really want to go at it. They call it, they will prove, and I quote, the full power and potential of the Cyberpunk universe. Now, that sounds like marketing shit. Absolutely. And granted, I agree with you. But when Adam Kaczynski goes on stage, he goes, look, we're still as hungry as we were 15 years ago, and they're building this game. And they say that. It has some gravitas in their words to me, because I know these guys in Poland. They're Polish? I think they're Polish. These guys in Poland, they take it seriously. I could see it. I could feel it. And I know that Cyberpunk, what they were aiming for, and as a result, what you summarized really well, Mike, is the reason, just the perfect storm of fuckeries that caused it to fall flat. Unreal Engine 5, no last-gen anchors, pure Cyberpunk. The Blade Runner. Yes, Giordani, of course I mentioned Blade Runner.
Well, will they have Keanu again, though? That's the question. Because it was all about fucking Keanu last time, wasn't it? When I saw Keanu Reeves was on that, I was like, oh fuck, it's that guy from The Matrix. And then that was it, Yeah,
I still associate with the Speed movies, but yeah, fine, you can go.
No, it's always The Matrix for me, or maybe Bill and Ted. Maybe Bill and Ted if you want to be really old.
I'm with you though, Gaz. I think they have something to prove. Again, Mike hit it on the head when he was talking about how they tried to make it work on the last gen consoles and it didn't work, and that was the biggest thing. I think they want to prove everybody wrong about Cyberpunk, and like, hey, this is what we want to fully realize in the game. All those mechanics we told you about that we stripped away, well, they're back. I believe they're going to do right.
Shout out to Cole Eastwood with Super Chat. Well, you don't have to do that. Cyberpunk devs take it seriously. It's their publishing arm that forced them to release the game unfinished so they could get their return on investment faster, which...
Yeah, but they're self-published, so I mean, like they're all one big company, right?
But investors will put on the pressure, like Asa. You were saying that a lot.
Yeah.
It's like
I would say on Cyberpunk, it's I have some sympathy with them as a publisher because the mandate for the game is so simple. Like The Witcher 3 is really good. Now do that again in a Cyberpunk world. That's so simple, and it was such a struggle to get it over the line. So I got some sympathy in that sense. Where I might be less sympathetic is if these 3 Witcher games that are supposed to come out 2 years apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a massive troll, so if I was giving them advice, if I was on the CD Projekt Red Council, I'd be like, what we should do is be more ambitious with more aggressive timelines. What can you do for me? And what they're doing...
That's exactly...
Let's see, hey?
That's a great point. I was just going to mention that because this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me. We talk about those unrealistic expectations, and then Adam Kaczynski comes out and says, hey, we've learned our lessons from the past, and now we're going to release 3 Witcher games in a trilogy within 6 years.
I worry about that. That's something I wanted to bring up as well. Like, I worry about the fact that they're building 3 Witcher games essentially at the same time. I mean, if they're going to be releasing within 2 years of each other, is it going to hold up with that same quality that we got with The Witcher 3? That's what I worry about. I hope they're not stretching themselves too thin with that. I really hope.
Yeah, I mean, I just find that weird to commit to that. And they say we have a plan for this, and predominantly to me, it appears that the plan revolves around Unreal Engine 5, revolves around these multiple studios that they've set up. They would set up in the US and in Boston, and then they're going to.
Yeah, but then we're going to go with a scenario where it's like an A, B, and C team. You know, and you know who.
That's why I mentioned logistic.
What is the C team going to be working on? You know,
and then they've got this Project Sirius, which is from the Molasses Flood studio. That studio is going to make a non-mainline Witcher. That might piss people off, even though they've clearly said, "Look, we make 3 mainline Witcher games." Yeah. We've got Project Sirius, which is for the masses. Call it casuals with multiplayer. Then they've also got on top of that called Canis Majoris, which is a contracted out, because I don't like contractors there, Mike. Maybe I'm being a bit overly pessimistic, but a contracted out external third-party team led by ex-Witcher devs, which is weird. And there's a whole RPG as well. So there's that. And on top of that, they're working on Cyberpunk Project Orion, brand new next gen, and they've got another project, which is unannounced IP.
It's pretty impressive. Is
it impressive or
if they can pull it off?
I'd say it's impressive. I would say, you know, for me, some of it is well interesting. The Molasses, you know, the guys who made Flame and the Flood, those guys were an indie studio. You know, they were a small indie studio. Their first game was like published by Curve. They were this tiny studio who had like a couple of games that did decently, and then I have no fucking clue how that happened. How CD Projekt Red bought them. When it got announced, I was like, holy shit, that's so fucking random. And now they're making a Witcher game. It's bananas. Crazy. It's fucking bananas, and I love it. I love banana shit like that. I love the idea that like there's some studio making tiny games, and now they're making a fucking Witcher game. I love that kind of thing. Yeah, for me, that's interesting because, you know, obviously, I want to play The Witcher 4. I'm sure that's going to be fantastic. But when you give an IP like that to a smaller studio who are used to making, you know, more sort of indie style stuff, where it's smaller, but it's maybe got some interesting ideas in it, and they're sort of proven at making interesting ideas as well as studio, then you're going to end up with something kind of exciting out of it.
That's the kind of thing.
Yeah. That's a good
you're
point.
A smaller studio taking on a big legacy IP. You'll be more naturally, I don't know, revitalized or motivated to really like. You'll be like, this is my chance. Yeah. This is our chance.
Exactly. Here's what we could do. Yeah. We can put the Witcher in a school bus and fly him over a map, and everybody can jump out. Yeah.
That could work.
I would buy that.
That could work. I will bet. I have no idea what that game's going to be, but I will bet that it's going to be heavily narrative, and it'll be. Well, I don't think it's going to be like a visual novel or anything like that. But
no.
I think it's going to be an extremely narrative thing.
Well, it's going to have multiplayer involved, though, so I would assume it'd be more action oriented than
action anything. RPG, maybe. Well, no, I don't know RPG, but yeah.
Well, if it's for the masses.
I was going to say the really obvious inspiration. If you're looking at the Witcher universe and what it's all about, I mean, monster hunting is key to the universe, and Monster Hunter is very successful. So whether this is the right studio for that particular project, but I'd be surprised if they don't explore that avenue at some point.
Well, they have said that it's a single-player game, and it has some multiplayer components, you know, and that to me screams of something sort of, you know, you're playing a single-player thing, but you're able to a little bit like how Elden Ring is, you know, how Elden Ring is sort of multiplayer, but really for most people, you're playing it single-player and you keep seeing some shit. That for me is what this screams at me. I'm not saying they're making an Elden Ring game. I mean more like I think that's roughly what it may be. Because otherwise they would have just gone, it's a multiplayer game. They wouldn't have specifically stated it's a single player game with some multiplayer stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what they do there. So yeah, CD Projekt Red, you know, go for it. I will say, they aggressive roadmap being revealed is also perhaps I say perhaps, I'm pretty sure it is pressure from investors to pacify them now coming up at a time that's a high for them. They've jumped on this opportunity to say, look, we've got all these projects in the works. We're obviously in the positive limelight after a long time. And look, please don't lose faith in us. I do believe it.
I think leaving behind the Red engine is a pretty interesting thing as well. Them going forward with just Unreal Engine 5. And that's
heavily relying on that for the future roadmap.
It seems like a lot of developers are going that route. Are you noticing that, Mike?
Not really, but that's because I work with smaller devs, and to be honest with you, 99% of smaller devs are just Unity for life. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so much easier for us. But having said that, I know plenty of devs who Unity have they've really started to do some stupid shit recently. Can't be asked to go into it all because there's too much of it to count, but there's been a lot of stuff that Unity is doing that's been pissing a lot of smaller devs off. And so I think a lot of smaller devs have started to explore other engines, including Unreal. And started to move. I know quite a few people who have moved to Unreal, so you might start to see a shift soon. But when
it comes to AAA, there's a big shift going to Unreal Engine 5. It seems a lot of Xbox devs are using it. Now they've announced CDPR is now using it. I don't know.
Sebastian wants me to ask you what you think, Mike, of Unreal Engine 5. Do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I don't really. I genuinely just don't. I've seen all of the stuff from when they announced it, all the tech demos they've done, etc. It's incredibly impressive. And from the people who are using it that I talked to, clearly it can do some crazy fucking shit that is extremely exciting, not just for games. But we are yet to publish a game in Unreal. It's always, for us, it's usually Unity. Sometimes it's Game Maker. Sometimes it's smaller engines like that a lot of the time. Just I think because using Unreal, it could be quite expensive. It can end up being quite pricey because you gotta have to really make use of that engine. You gotta have a big team. You gotta have a proper team on it, and you gotta. You need some people with very specific skill sets as well to do very specific, very clever things with it. Really get out of it what you're going to need. Whereas for a team of 1 to 3 people, they could crack a game out in Unity. So much easier. It's just currently it's still the one of choice for smaller teams, I think.
For the indies. Yeah. Okay.
We might see a shift.
Yeah. Once people get used to that engine as well. Yeah. So this next topic, I saw you on Twitter, with a inflammatory post, Mike. But speaking the truth, everyone was pretty much up in arms about. Well, not up in arms, or just more bewildered by this. Horizon Zero Dawn's been leaked to have a potential remaster / remake, and you tweeted it was fuck me for making worrying about making sequels or whatnot. What was it you said exactly? I'm trying to pull your tweet.
The funny thing was that when I actually made that tweet, don't get me wrong, it was definitely at least partially about Horizon, but funnily enough, it wasn't actually just about Horizon.
Oh, what was it about?
It was also about Skyrim. Because
the anniversary edition,
because I had just discovered that day as well that I own Skyrim on Switch, and I just discovered that I hadn't realized up until this day that Skyrim was fucking coming out again on Switch for $70 fucking dollars, and it got you the game and all the DLC, and they were calling it Anniversary Edition, and it was entirely separate to the version on Switch that we already own here. And I wouldn't be able to take the version we own and get the DLC for that. I would have to buy the new version of Skyrim, which then, as far as I understand, wouldn't take the same save data either.
Really?
And I was just like, can you imagine if a smaller dev did that? Can you actually fucking imagine if we were like, hey guys, well, so it's been 5 years since Descenders came out. Here's the 5-year anniversary of the game. We're putting it out again. Here it is on the store. It costs $10 more than last time. It's the same game again. And can you use your save data? No, you can't. What we're going to need you to do is we're going to need you to... Oh, the old version, we're removing that now. The old version doesn't exist anymore. There's only this new version, which is more expensive.
Well, Mike, does this new version of Descenders include fishing? I'm all right with it if it does.
And that's the thing. Like, and so I saw that, and then obviously, I saw Horizon, and you know, for me, when they announced the Last of Us remake, I remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, cool. It was on PS3, you know, so fair enough. Like, you can kind of say, yeah, fair enough, that a remake of that, yeah, okay. For me, it was on the cusp, you know, it was on the cusp, like, Last of Us isn't that old, but yeah, okay, go on then, the remake makes sense. For them to be remaking games that, I'm not being funny, but they just fucking came out. Like, I know it was 5 years ago, but the pandemic has reduced time, hasn't it? Like, the last 3 years didn't fucking happen. So for me, I played Horizon during the pandemic. It fucking wasn't that long ago that game's out. So I'm just like,
it still looks better than a lot of current gen games.
It looks so good.
60 FPS.
It's 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5. I mean, it's ridiculous. The Last of Us remaster, when I heard about it, I was like, fuck yeah, I love that game. Yeah. But not for $70. Sorry. No. I think that was ridiculous. I won't buy a remake or remaster for, you know, a full priced AAA game. I'm not paying that price for a remaster.
You also actually don't want to pay that price at all, right?
No, at all. Well, no.
You should, and that's the thing, you shouldn't have to. If you bought the game on fucking PS4, and they bring it out again on PS5, you shouldn't have to pay for it again. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, some people will disagree with that.
Well, supposedly they remade a lot.
People, quite frankly, put it this way, right? If you bought a game on Xbox One right now, right, and they bring it out on Series X, you always get it for free.
Okay, but did you see the amount of work that they put into the graphics and everything in the game, like the animation?
The Last of Us One.
So
and like I said,
they should be compensated for that.
Sure, and like I say, I had less of a problem with that because that was genuinely like a 2-generation jump. You know, like it was a game where if I went back and played the original Last of Us 1 now, I bet I'd be like, But also, they did already bring out a remaster of that game.
Yeah, it was a remaster.
So they got like $60 out of me when the game originally came out, and then they got another $40 out of me like a couple of years ago when the remaster came out. And then they've put The Last of Us out again as a remake. Are they calling it a remake? I don't know if I call it. But that, for me, is when I start to feel like you're rinsing me a bit here. Like, this is cheeky shit. Because
and they took out the multiplayer. So,
but like, surely if I bought the remaster, I should get the remake for free. You know, like surely if last generation
or a discount.
I'm looking at it at all the work they put into it. And I'm like, look, if that game would have dropped even at $50, I probably would have bought it because I'm a huge fan of that game. But $60-$70, I'm not buying a remake. I'm not buying a remaster, something that I've already played. But when it comes to like Horizon Zero Dawn, if this is true, if they are putting out another remake or remaster for this game, it's going to be $70, and it's ridiculous. It's a 5-year-old game. As you said, Gaz, it looks better than most games out there right now, and it plays very well. There's no reason to go in and say, hey, we need to change this up or this up with this game. There's no reason to go back to that game. It's obviously a cash grab. That's all it is.
Movie time.
The only thing that I'll say on Horizon is we don't know that they're going to charge 70 yet. I know it's Sony and going by previous behaviors is likely, but you can hope that that's not their plan for this one. You can hope. But Mike, I've got a question for you because last time, a year ago, when you were on this show, you had some very strong words against £70 prices. Has your stance softened on that at all, or do you still think I can't remember your exact words, and they were too vulgar for me, Mike. So.
I remember those words. It's a fucking entitled, such a fucking entitled price point. That's your word.
The thing is, it hasn't changed, but actually, that whole conversation has taken on a different, a sort of new level as well. Because obviously, something that's happened this year in the last 6 months, especially in the last few months, all over the world, people are fucking dying. Like there is one of the hardest recessions we've seen in a long time going on right now.
Yeah.
And video games during the pandemic, video games became like this thing that people started buying shitloads of, because what the fuck else were you going to do? Like, because as well, like for some people during the pandemic, all of a sudden they did have a little bit of extra money because they were, instead of like traveling every day, instead of like going to their job every day, instead of going out every weekend, none of that was happening anymore. And all of a sudden they had like a spare 60 quid at the end of the month, like, because they hadn't been going out. Oh shit, maybe I'll buy a game with that. And then this year, it's completely changed. It's flipped and gone the other direction. People do not have as much money as they did anymore. They just don't. Like, we're seeing it just for me in video games, we're seeing it. You can see that sales are down across the whole. A lot of studios are seeing like sales down by 50%, across everything. And so in the context of that conversation, and people now asking for $70 for a game, it's now not just gone from it's entitled bullshit. It's gone to like, are you fucking serious? Like, are you genuinely people who are struggling every fucking week? And people will make the argument, oh, well, then they shouldn't fucking buy games then. Like, and like, oh, just stop buying games and save you money if you need to spend it on food. Fuck off. Like, that is such a shitty thing to say. Like, this is, again, I've said this last time, but this is an industry, and this is like, video games are meant to be a thing that is for everybody. It's meant to be a thing that when you've had a shitty day at work, you should be able to come back and you should be able to just fucking relax. And you can't if you literally don't have $70 fucking dollars to spare. And you wonder why so many people are getting on Game Pass. You wonder why so many people are just like gradually over time, like being ground down, and they're like, you know what? I'll just spend like the $10 to $15 a month and look at all these games. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to play this $70 thing that came out, but I think I literally can't afford it. I literally cannot afford it. So I'm going to go with this thing that's actually affordable.
Well, Mike, on top of that, PlayStation then raises the price of its console everywhere, apart from the one region where it's facing stiffer competition, and has had 3 revisions of its console. And we find out the parts. Obviously, they were announced they were making a profit at launch, and the 3rd revision they're using less silicon or whatever, and they still raise the price globally. Isn't that taking the piss when the competition is actually reducing the price?
Do you know, if anything, for me, and I've kind of said it before, but if anything, for me, this generation is just showing why I don't think there's going to be a future for video game consoles soon. When I say soon, I mean years. I mean it's going to be years in the making. But the problems that we've had with this generation, and the ways then that people have had to try and solve it, with cloud gaming and with moving, like Sony moving all their games onto PC and all that kind of stuff. The demand is there for consoles, but the actual, and you even see, right, how often do you see people on both sides? This isn't just PlayStation, this is on both sides. How often do you see people like picking up consoles and then they're like, I've owned this console for 6 months now and I've bought 1 game and there's been nothing else for me to get. Like, you know, other than old games, there's no new games. It's it's just none of the maths on any of it is making any fucking sense anymore. Games don't need to live or die or even rely on the video game console cycle anymore. It used to be such an important thing. It used to literally be like a new console would come out and be like, whoa, games. And then towards the end, they died. And whoa, the next one.
Yeah.
This cycle has done nothing to video games.
It's cross-gen is still going.
You can't name a game. You can't name a single game that is like, this game was possible because of the next generation of consoles. It's not happened this time because we don't need them. We just don't need them. There's going to be in the next few years. There's going to be so many solutions to people playing games. Look at the Steam Deck. Look at the fucking Steam Deck. Like, this fucking thing. I picked this thing up. I've stopped playing my Switch. There's no point in me touching my Switch anymore because every game on the Switch,
not because of the Steam Deck,
it's on the Steam Deck, and it's cheaper on Steam as well because they have sales all the time. I've just picked this fucking dock up, where you can then plug the Steam Deck easily into your TV. And next month, I'm gonna be playing my Steam Deck on the TV with like an Xbox controller. When will I ever? And the thing is, that thing. They'll just keep rolling more of them out. They'll start treating it like Apple treat the iPhone or whatever. Like bringing a new one out every couple of years. That's what Steam will start doing with the deck. They'll just bring a new one out like it's a fucking PC.
Iterative hardware like
That's
that.
The way you should do it. That's actually, you can take the piss out of like the way that they do iPhones all you want, but it's been working for 15 years now or something bizarre like that. And it's bizarre to me that no consoles have ever thought, hey, what if this is a way we could do this? Just roll a new console out every couple of years. And you don't have to upgrade to the next one. If you've got the last one, you could probably wait 5 years. You could probably leave it 5 years and then pick up the new Steam Deck that comes out and replace the old one and trade the old one in and yada, yada, yada. Instead of, we'll wait 8 years until this last console's given up the fucking ghost and is literally holding development back now because games run like dog shit on it.
Yep.
That wouldn't happen anymore.
Well, didn't they try to do that last generation with the mid-gen refreshes with the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4
but
Pro?
the way they word it is so shit, isn't it? Like, and from a development standpoint as well, the problem is that then the platforms are like, yeah, we've got these like mid-gen consoles, but just so you understand, your game needs to run fucking perfectly on the originals as well. So it's not useful to anybody, these mid-gen things, because we still have to make sure we still have to aim for the originals, when actually developing a game.
Well, they still do that today with lower end PCs as well.
Sure, and of course the thing you can say about PC that it's a little bit easier there because it should be harder, but it's a little bit easier there because people on PC understand. Like someone who has a PC is like pulls their hands up and is like, yeah, okay, I've got a shit PC. I get it if this game is... Yeah, I get it if the game's not running.
Yeah,
but also,
I need a new graphics card.
Exactly, yeah. But like, you can also on PC, you can fuck with all the settings and you can purposely make the game look like dog shit. Whereas you can't do that on console. You're specifically not allowed to do that on console. You could do like performance mode. You can put a performance mode in, which is 60 frames per second, 1080p. That you could do that kind of thing. But you can't go into an Xbox or a PlayStation game, go into the options and be like, right, well, this is running like dog shit, so I'll turn everything down on it. Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. But you can on the Steam Deck. You can on the Steam Deck because it's the PC versions. So like I've got a game and it's running a little bit shitty on Steam Deck, so I fucking turn the shit down and guess what? Now it's running well. Whereas on my Switch, everything runs like dog shit because it's an old console now. Do you know what I mean? When was the last time you played a game that didn't run like dog shit on the Switch? And the thing is, I'm not even ripping into the Switch there. It's because the Switch has been around for so long that now games, it's the exact problem CD Projekt Red had with Cyberpunk on like the Xbox One. It's an old console now. It's fucking old. So of course it runs like dog shit. It's like if you tried to run a new mobile game on an iPhone 5 or something like that, like, of course it's not going to work because it's fucking old.
Yeah.
And the idea of a rolling Steam Deck, there's a new one every 2 years, but you don't have to get the new one. Your shit's going to be fine for, 4, 5, 6 years. It's just then after that amount, you probably have to.
But what's the rolling Steam Deck doing? Like, what's the newer version doing? Because isn't that like what you said, the problem with mid-gen upgrades? How's that? How do you differentiate?
Because the difference here is that there's differences at a lot of different levels. Firstly, Steam are not saying to anybody, you've got to make sure that your game is running perfectly on every Steam Deck. They're not.
You have the options. You can switch it off.
Yeah,
like a PC.
Exactly. You can you can fuck around with the options, but also they're just never going to say that. The big difference is that you as a consumer, in a weird way, you will in that situation have the flexibility to decide. Right, I am ready now to upgrade to the latest one. I've like got the cash. I've kind of saved to make sure that it's the right time for me. There's this big game that's just come out on PC, and I know it's not going to run on my dog shit Steam Deck anymore because it's a bit heavier. So you know what? I'm gonna now at this point, I'm gonna choose to upgrade 4 years in.
Whereas, like a PC, basically.
It's exactly like how you would work on a PC right now. Whereas you can't do that on a console. Now, my Switch can't run any new games anymore, and I can't choose to get a new Switch because they don't exist.
I'm one of the rare people out there in the console market that likes would like something like that. Like, I've always thought that the generations go on far too long. I would love a 4-year cycle in generations because technology keeps moving forward, and the PC, that's why the PC has gone so far ahead of any console or whatever. I mean, is every time we get a new console, they say, look, it's just as good as this high-end PC. The next month, that PC has got something new out that is just destroying whatever that console just did. So, I mean, tech never stops. Innovation never stops. And, when you have an 8-year cycle, 8-year cycle for a console, it's a bit long in the tooth, man.
But the problem with PC, of course, is that it's a fucking pain in the ass. Like, anybody who is a PC gamer would not deny that PC gaming could be such a dick. Like, you just want to run a fucking game, and for some fucking reason it's not working. No, I've got to install the codecs. The sound isn't working. It's a fucking pain in the ass to PC game. If you can take PC gaming and you can put it in a console setting like the Steam Deck, you've merged these two, and it sounds a lot right now like I'm shilling for the Steam Deck. Like, it's
you are, but go on.
I am. It's more that for me, having a Steam Deck for these last few months has been one of the most transformative, exciting things that has happened to me in video games in a long time. Like, for me,
a lot of people say that.
I cannot fucking believe how it has changed how I play games now, playing on this thing. And when I saw that dock come up for sale the other day, I have not bought anything so fucking fast in my life. Because that for me was the thing that was missing. That was the one thing that was missing. You could stick a cable in the top of the Steam Deck and then go stand at your TV right next to the TV like this. But that was the one thing. All I wanted was for them to do the Switch thing, the put it into a thing and it appears on the TV. The moment I saw that thing announced, I was like, well, they've done it. They've fucking cracked the shit. They've fucking cracked the shit. The Steam Deck for me is everything that consoles have needed to be for a long time. And I genuinely think it's going to be slow going. It's going to be slow. The whole thing as well, where Steam, weeks ago, we're just so we know that everybody else is having big problems with getting their hardware out there, and it's been really tough for them. We are actually doing a really good job. And
you have to reserve it.
And now when you order one, we'll just have it for you in a few days. What the fuck?
Where's the silicon shortage for you guys? Game Newell's been giving the right massages to the right people.
It's just insane. What Valve have done, you gotta give them fucking props.
Respect.
You really
respect.
do. Jesus Christ. They have come into this space and they've gone, we've just done everything that everybody else couldn't. Here it is.
They just said, fuck you, Nintendo. That's what they've done in many ways, because emulators are a big part of the whole Steam Deck experience as well.
What was it? There was a Nintendo emulator in the latest video for the Steam Deck. Like they
that was
accidentally
taking
showed
the
the title.
piss.
Oh my
They
god!
literally put that in there. That app was called New
Valve.
N.
Someone at Valve was very much in trouble for that, I'm sure. But also the fucking balls on them because they've not taken the video down. They're just it's Nintendo you're fucking with there, and Valve are just like, we're Valve, like we're.
Yuzu, that's it. Thank you, chat.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing.
I love
respect.
Valve a lot. I really do.
I do as well. I like the upfront nature of Gabe Newell as well, and you have to give them props. Steam Deck is everything we wanted the Steam Deck to be and more, and it is much more. I have to return mine because my power button doesn't work, but it is that, and it's great to see some competition in the space. I know, I'm sure we will all agree that has lit a fire up Nintendo's arse with the Switch. I
think it's going to. I think that right now Nintendo are so. I mean, the Switch is gigantic. We're talking like the Steam Deck's gonna murder the Switch. It's not at least not anytime soon. It's gonna be a long time. But the one thing that for me I feel that Valve do is that they don't drop shit. Like when they have a concept, you can see with what they're doing with the deck, like they're bringing more and more things, and they're working on the production, and they're getting the production, and now they're putting it in more. They've just announced it for Japan and Korea. Like when Valve kind of get a fire lit under them, they go for it, and it's part of the reason why they're as big as they are today. And why shit happened, like the Dota is the size it is, and like they know for everything you can say about Valve, they know what they're doing, and I would definitely not rule them out as doing huge things in the consoles. I don't even know if Valve would say it is the console space they're entering.
That's a great point, actually. That's why it's so disruptive.
They probably just call it a PC. I think that I reckon that they just see it as they've put a portable PC out, and that's probably how they see it.
Well, my little brother's got Windows running on his, and he's running Halo natively and Forza natively. The thing is so flexible, it's ridiculous, and it runs well. But where it sits, I don't know. But it's that disruption that we should yearn for in this industry.
You know what they need? Like, I really, really hope that one day it would be so cool if Xbox put Game Pass on Steam. That would be a killer. And obviously, there's weirdness there because they've got PC Game Pass, and so if
you can get it running.
If Game Pass is on Steam, then what's the point of PC Game Pass? And yada yada.
Yeah.
But if Game Pass came to Steam
natively, crazy. That would
the Steam Deck.
Microsoft, watch this space. I guarantee you, not the Logitech thing. I guarantee you, they're watching Steam. Mark my words, a handheld from Xbox to tap into that Game Pass. It's just common sense. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be native. It's going to be like Steam Deck. Just watch this space. And it's going to come soon. I have a feeling. There's no way they will be sitting back, Xbox, talking about a USB stick that plugs into your TV and everything, and not think of a non-cloud solution. Logitech was just this figure. It's not even selling. The pre-orders weren't filled up. Microsoft will do it. And
that sounds like awful news, Gaz. I really hope they don't.
Fuck you, why?
Because at the moment, the Series S is like the lowest common denominator for running a game natively in the Xbox ecosystem. And unless they can fit
PC,
that level of... Well, yeah, but not... Like Xbox ecosystem, like Mike was saying, the PC is flexible. If your PC is not good enough, then you recognize it and you get a better one. So as a lowest common denominator for development, if they're making the game and they want it to run and they want to do these things with the physics and the world and the AI and all the stuff that you talk about, if they then release a portable model that can't do those things as well as a Series S, then our floor has got lower. So I hope they don't do that.
Fuck it, I take back everything I said. They are definitely not doing a native handheld console, because now I don't even want it, because the way Acer has convinced me, the last thing I want...
What Mike was more talking about was native Game Pass on Steam, like Valve selling Xbox Game Pass so that you can play those games, whether it be streaming, whether it be native, regardless of the hardware. And that, I'm surprised, is taking quite as long as it has, and it's because of the third-party catalog on there, because there's a huge overlap.
You can't do it, can't you? Because you could do the Windows thing on Steam Deck, but I tried.
My brother's got Game Pass running on his Steam Deck.
Yeah, I know, but it's just fiddly as fuck. I'm the kind of person who, like, if there's too many steps to be getting to a place, I can't be fucked going through all the steps. You know, I know a lot of people will, but like for me, I'm reading this step by step, and there's like 10 fucking steps to getting Game Pass on my Steam Deck. Restart it in Windows, install it, and I'm like, no, I'm out. If this is not two steps long, then I'm out.
The only thing is though, like most of the groundwork for Game Pass on Steam has been done by EA, because you can get an EA Play subscription on Steam. It's just commercial terms are like not quite meeting. But they're so close to that being a real thing.
Well, it's the same thing that happened with why Game Pass isn't on iPhone, right? You can't get xCloud on, or at least you can't get xCloud just like natively through an iPhone on the app. Yeah, because Apple were like, well, no, you cannot put a store in our store. They don't like the inceptionness of stores being within stores. And then they're saying to Microsoft, and you're gonna have to give us a fucking cut of that shit. And so yeah, that's why that's not there. Whereas Android, they don't give a shit. They'll just let you do it. It's the only reason I bought an Android phone, so I could have Game Pass on a mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. Final topic of the day, and thank you, Brazilian regulator, for waiting patiently on that super chat. That was an hour old, but I wanted to weave it into this one. Before we do, let me read some other super chats. Rims, thank you so much for being a member for 9 months. He goes, evening, Gaz, Asa, Mike, Fonz, and chat. You can see with Sony this gen, it's more about milking that cash cow as much as possible. Happy birthday, Asa. Major Glory, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And this is going to be interesting. The moment a giant like Starfield comes out and the common gamer sees free with Game Pass in commas, that will be the moment Xbox has truly hit Sony. I disagree. Well, one, Starfield needs to be good, and we're hearing murmurs of it being delayed again. And two, is that the kind of game that has the mass market appeal? It's Call of Duty, I would say. That's where Xbox truly hits Sony. And that's what the next topic is about. The Brazilians have now, the regulators have quite strongly, I would say, definitively is the word I would say, definitively passed the Xbox's acquisition of ABK with no conditions. And they say, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I didn't have the foresight to copy and paste their thing, but you don't need it. Because what they said was, it's not our duty to safeguard specific competitors. It's to safeguard competition as a whole. I mean, that alone was quite strong. And then the regulators also cited Nintendo's existence in this space and its non-reliance of Call of Duty, and quite rightly, in my opinion, pointed out to the success of that platform that operates in its own right. Like you said, Mike, it's in its own fucking lane. It doesn't need to do what Call of Duty doesn't need to do anything that others do. So this could, yes, it will be detrimental to Sony's business in the immediacy of things, but doesn't stop competition as such. And Brazilian regulator comes in with a £4.49 super chat. Sony's making a movie version of He-Man called Remasters of the Universe. I didn't realize that was a completely off-topic super chat, thinking it was linked to this after an hour of sitting on there. I apologize. And I've just read that out. But Mike, talk to me about this. I don't think we've ever talked about ABK with you. Is this taking the piss? Are you worried big bad Microsoft is gobbling up all these studios? Or is this competition? What do you think of this Call of Duty thing? Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky because I get, it's pretty clear why Sony are worried.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking clear, when their competitor essentially buys several of
the biggest
the
games.
largest IPs in the entire world, then of course your reaction is, oh shit, we're gonna fight this. Anybody would do that. This is not like a weird thing that Sony are doing. Anybody would react that way. It's funny to me, the whole situation, because of course, you know, if you go back, what Microsoft are doing right now is they are attempting to answer everything that has been thrown at them for the last 8 years.
Yes.
Microsoft lost last time. That's the truth of the matter. The Xbox One was not as well received as the PS4. The PS4.
That's one way to put it. It was a failed gen, an entire failure.
All right, fine. The PS4 absolutely fucking smashed the Xbox One. And that's the truth of it. And you know, when you are in that situation, there's two different things that happen. Either you fold, and we've seen that happen plenty of times in the past. You just go, all right, we're out. These other people won. You know, my shout out to my poor Dreamcast. But the other way that happens is that you fire everybody who fucked up. You get a scrappy new team who are going to do some fucking shit. They look at what the problems are, and you go, let's fix these fucking problems. And, you know, I think the main things that were leveled at Xbox, right, were that they didn't have games. That was what people just kept saying. Xbox has got no games, Xbox has got no games, etc. And so Microsoft took that incredibly literally and went, let's fucking buy all the games then. Because we're Microsoft. So that's what they fucking did. And they've been buying all the fucking games. And it's like, yeah, you know that you know the gif that people use of the Pikachu just like with his mouth open when they're like, wow, can't believe that's happened. I just cannot believe that everybody accused Microsoft of not having games, so they went and bought a bunch of games. I can't believe that happened. It's unbelievable to me that that's what happened. And on the other side of this is that when you do incredibly well, it's natural you rest on your laurels a little bit. And that for me is what PlayStation ended up doing towards the end of. And I think those two things are clashing right now. I think a huge thing that's happening is that there is a bit of, well, it's working really well for us, so we're going to rest easy a little bit.
Yes.
And Microsoft going fucking hard, like going
hard as
times 1,000, like just going hard, like, because for them they got to win this time, you know, like for them they don't lose twice in a row. They're fucking Microsoft, so they are
the money they put in. They can't afford to lose now. Literally.
No, exactly. So that's really a huge reason. At some point, some conversation happened where people were like, in a boardroom, were like, well, if Call of Duty is really big, why don't we just fucking own it? And then everyone at the table went, oh, we can do that? Like, and they just fucking went. And yeah, it's you can see Sony's point of view on it.
But what's your view on the general health of the industry? Would you be worried about lessened competition? If you take Sony's points on board, they say Call of Duty is a separate category in its own right. It would hurt Call of Duty players. Do you fall for that?
But Sony, but it's a little bit bullshit, isn't it? Because Sony last generation, the PS4, part of the reason why the PS4 was so big is because they had so many incredible exclusives, like incredible. We were talking about some of them earlier. People like from Naughty Dog to the fucking for Insomniac, like they have so many insane people, and those games are only coming out on PlayStation and so it's a little rich now for them to be going like, oh well, Xbox can't own any of these things because we'll lose out to it, when they've just spent an entire generation like reaping the benefits of having exclusives. And of course, the funny thing in all of this is that Microsoft have never at any point said that Call of Duty will be exclusive. They've never said that. all that's going to be happening is that Microsoft are making the 70% on the PlayStation sales. It's not going anywhere. It's still going to be on PlayStation. So I guess part of me is like, why does it fucking matter? And that's flippant. It's very flippant for me to say to finish with that. But also, it's a little bit like you're just crying now because.
But look at the games that we mentioned.
You took the piss out of another kid in the yard, and then the other kid, like over the summer holidays, bulked up or something, went to the gym, and now they've come back, and now you can't take the piss out of them anymore. So now you're having a little bit of a cry.
But look, Fonz, on that take, I don't give a shit about, and it's not because I don't think so. If I genuinely thought PlayStation were fucked, in trouble, and they can't do anything right, and I did a video on this like at midnight where I said, well, everyone seems to have faith in PlayStation managing absolutely fine with this incredible first-party studios that you mentioned, Mike, and all these brilliant games. Why can't Sony go back and fight? They like you said, rested on their laurels for so long. They relied on these single-player games for so long that finally that comfort blanket of third-party money hatting gets pulled away from them with Call of Duty, and now all of a sudden they can't do anything. Call of Duty is everything to them. The PlayStation quality mark of its exclusives is completely irrelevant anymore. Is that their games aren't in a separate category? It's stupid. I just genuinely have zero sympathy. I have zero sympathy.
Yeah, see, I have to go back to what I was saying earlier in the show during the beginning of the show when I was talking about how Game Pass and how Microsoft is sort of changing the landscape. It's because of Game Pass that this is all happening, and this is the reason why they went after COD and Blizzard and Diablo 4 and all these big games that they want to put on Game Pass. It's Game Pass. This is what is honestly. Shout out to Colt Eastwood because he said this so many times, and people take his words and think that he means something else when he says that they're leading the market right now, right? Yeah. And he's not wrong because Xbox right now with Game Pass, with what they're doing, everything they're doing is all about Game Pass. It is leading everybody else. Sony is begrudgingly conforming to ways that they've never done before. They don't. It's like you could tell in interviews when you hear Jim talk. It's like he doesn't really want to. He doesn't want to do this stuff, but he's doing it because he has to. If they're going to make money, if they're going to do things, and they don't have the money hatting going on like they used to because the games are gone, Microsoft owns them. That's a problem for them. Yeah. It's going to hurt their bottom line for sure. So of course they're going to go after the regulators and beg and plead and everything. But I think in this instance, the regulators in Brazil anyway did their job. I think they did it. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And, people can say, well, you're just shilling for Xbox and you're just happy because they approved the deal. No, listen. Yeah, I'm happy because they approved the deal because I want to see this go through because this is going to further change Sony and make Sony innovate, push more, push harder because I felt like it was a walk in the park for them last generation. Let's face it. They were on easy street last generation. They had no real competition with Xbox. Xbox One had no games. Forza, Halo, Gears, and Forza. That's what they had last gen. Now they're going to get the games, and Sony's like, "Oh shit, we relied too heavily on multi-platform exclusivities and stuff, and money hatting." Now they're caught with their pants down. They're like, "We got to do something," and this is it. This is all they have right now. Please don't let them approve this deal. That's what they're doing. Behind the scenes, they're making 10 to 12 gas games right now. They're trying to do things to where they could put their games out on PC day one. Gas games going to PC day one for Sony. That window for exclusive, to their platform anyway, to the PlayStation 5, to the console, for single player games, that's going to continue to shrink. We've all said this years ago. This is going to happen, and look, they're already talking about how their single player games are going to be spaced out a year maybe, but it's going to shrink. It's going to end up being closer and closer to inevitably being day and date. I'm telling you.
I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced of that. There's no way. I mean,
this
that's
is all about conforming because Game Pass has been such a freaking juggernaut, and it's caused Microsoft to just go all in.
But don't you find it funny that Herman Hulst had to come out and say that? Oh, by the way, listen, not to upset everyone, but our games will at least have a year gap between PlayStation and PC. I'm like,
it's funny how he had to specifically say that, right? Well, don't worry, Sony fans. It'll be at least a year, so still buy your product on PlayStation now. Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Look,
I mean, it's basically saying, listen,
in a way, they've kind of already slightly gone back on that, right? Because I know that Stray wasn't a first-party game, but it was a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah,
and I didn't realize, like, when it surprised me when I realized it was a day one PS Plus, and as far as I could tell, that went incredibly well for them. And as far as I could tell, that was a huge hit that it was day one on PS Plus. PlayStation must be looking at that and being like, oh shit, like maybe there is some good to this. Maybe actually, I think we're going to see more experimentation with it. I think we're going to see more games go day one on PS Plus.
For PS Plus. But I'm just saying, going to the PC, that's going to shrink. I think I think that time frame, that year between the releases, is going to shrink. For the single player games, the gas games are already. Factions 2, whenever that drops, is going to be on PC day and date. That I mean, think about that.
Big.
They are changing big time, and it's all because. And Sony guys don't want to hear. It's all because of Game Pass.
Well,
it really
Game Pass is front runner. Is a disruptor in the space. Absolutely, it is.
Curiosity though, like Factions 2 is almost certainly going to be a free to play game. So it's a pretty bold claim to say that's.
Wait a minute. You really think it's going to be free to play?
I'd be surprised if service games
Sony
are
we're talking about here.
But the same. So service games and microtransaction based games, everything about it is about reducing barriers to entry, and that's when they're talking about getting the audience as big as possible. When they're talking about day and date service games on PC, I don't think you'll have to pay for many of those games. I really don't.
It won't be $70, but I could see them charging.
You think it's going to be a paid game? I think it'll be free to play.
We'll see. Hopefully, well, I don't want to say hopefully because I'm not looking forward to playing it myself. I'm not a big multiplayer guy, but it could be free to play. You could be 100% right on that. But yes, they need a bigger user base because they need more money. They want more capital, so they're going to put it on PC as well. It makes total sense. But I'm saying the reason why they're doing this stuff is because Microsoft has pushed them to do so.
Absolutely. It's just changed the market. That's why what Sony's strategy, what's funny to me is, despite the fact that Xbox completely fumbled and lost last generation, and Sony came out undisputed winner between these two, Sony is admitted that its business model wasn't poised for the future. It's copying Xbox. Games as a service model is copying Xbox. You can't copy Xbox because of Game Pass, because, like you say, Fonz, it can't. It doesn't have the means to do that.
In chat, Babylon Falls was $70 and it was live service.
Babylon Falls was $70 at launch.
That's what somebody's saying.
That game definitely doesn't stand as a advocate for that being the case.
I'm just saying it's Sony, Asa. Like we can't just say for sure definitively that it's not going to be a paid for game. Factions 2 could be very well
following in the blazing trails that Babylon's Fall has set for the industry.
The blazing trail, it's gone. That trail.
It's going to be, I know, Asa, like everyone's tired about the ABK deal, but really it is, to me, interesting because the Brazilian regulators' comments are not that how the regulators will adopt the same wording, but of course they keep an eye on things. And it's just, I'm glad they took that view. You may say it's because of bias.
And here's the thing, though, Gaz. I want to expand on Sony, too, because I don't want to be sitting here just shitting on them or whatever, because that's not what I intend to do. You know, I love my Sony exclusive games. I love their games. I can't wait for God of War. But when it comes to their, man, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, say something. I'll bring it back.
Ass. There you go. I'll say ass. Use that.
No. I lost my train of thought. I had a good point, but I was going to bring up something positive on Sony because, I just don't want to sit here and just crap on them all.
Yeah, I mean, we're not crapping. No, like Sony. Look, Sony need the slap in the face. The video that I talked about.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. It's because I want to see them move forward and innovate more. I mean, I really think that they have studios there. They are so talented. They could take studios. They could take some people from Bungie, move them over with, Guerrilla Games or something, make a first-person shooter of their own, do something incredible within the next 5 to 6 years, whatever it takes until that Call of Duty is gone. Spend the time. Make that freaking fantastic game. Put it out there for the world to play. They have talent to do so. So
definitely.
I could.
Sony need to be reminded. Sony need the drive. I know Sony needs PlayStation to survive, and of course that's alone a big drive in itself. But this kind of competition will only benefit Acer. I think is profoundly
I still think that
positive.
The obsession with Sony with regards to the Activision Blizzard King deal is just irrelevant, and I know that the Brazilian regulators have been very clear and concise and very matter of fact about what they're looking out for and what matters. But I don't think the deal is on shaky ground with regards to Sony, because as everyone is saying, Sony will be fine without Call of Duty. It's a big hit to them, but they can compete. And the consumer market, which is what these regulators are looking out for, we as consumers will be fine if Sony don't have Call of Duty. There is no threat there. The threat, if you go back about an hour, we had Mike was saying that the future of gaming doesn't necessarily include consoles particularly, or they're not central to it, even if they continue to exist. And this is where Microsoft is strong, and this is where the serious, I'm not saying that the Brazilian regulators aren't serious, that's the wrong way to put it, but the ones that are more likely to really focus and be a stumbling block are going to be looking at the fact that Microsoft have the technology stack, they have the infrastructure, they have the content, they have the service in the cloud space. And if it is, and it's often taken as a given that like cloud streaming is the future and everyone's going to be doing it in 10 years or whatever. If that is the case, then Microsoft's position there is massively strong. Sony are almost irrelevant. Almost everyone else is almost irrelevant. And this is the industry, and this is the consumer element that these regulators will be looking to protect. And I'm not saying this, I'm not coming forward and saying I think they're going to block the deal, because I don't. But I think any concessions or any regulations that they impose on it will be to make sure that Microsoft can't close off competition in the cloud gaming space.
How dare you, Asa?
It'll be to make sure that they license Azure at a fair price to their competitors, that they use PlayFab or whatever their multiplayer component is, that is available for their competitors. This is what the regulators are like. Actually, if they are going to impose anything, it will be around this element. It won't be around PlayStation, because PlayStation
element would
be
more relevant. I think PlayStation are fine, but PlayStation are the primary weapon. Well, you're saying it's the cloud argument, but I think we're 5 years too early for any regulator to look at that as a potential stumbling block. Any conditions get attached to it are things like you mentioned, licensing Azure. But what they can't do is fabricate ideas of what a competitor would be. I know you're going to say Stadia as an example.
What I would say to that is you're absolutely right. What they can't do is come down so heavily with regulations that they stomp out a nascent market. They can't. The regulators can't come in our best interest and stop Microsoft from growing this very consumer-friendly industry. So I don't think it will be blocked. I just think there's going to be concessions and regulations around foreclosing that market.
Cloud side.
You mentioned Stadia. Didn't they mention that they would be saving the tech because they know it's the future of gaming? They may be back later in the future, and I'm just like, okay,
when they have an appetite to actually compete, then maybe. But
you might have to dig it out of a graveyard first to be able to to utilize it. Out of a literal graveyard.
Well, I think Ace, I was watching on your show, you were saying the tech, when they bought ZeniMax, the reason why is because the Orion technology, streaming technology, is what they acquired, which Google Stadia is built on.
So
really?
Bethesda and ZeniMax own, they call it Orion, but it was for low latency 4K streaming that went into Stadia. So Microsoft owned them. The licensing around that technology is probably a little bit complicated and a little bit sensitive, but yeah, ZeniMax were quite key to how well Stadia performed.
Interesting.
It's funny. It's interesting that you say that, because in a similar vein, and this whole Activision Blizzard conversation, the funny thing is that Microsoft, it is Call of Duty, but it's not Call of Duty as much as you think it is, because actually one of the big reasons why Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard is because they are trying to fill gaps. They're trying to fill gaps in the market that they currently don't have. Yep. And mobile. One of the biggest ones they're missing is mobile. And in the Activision Blizzard that they just got the whole of King. Yep. And King make every fucking mobile game that you've ever heard of, that have, every time you're sat on a plane and someone's playing a fucking shitty mobile game next to you, King made that game. And so so in a way it's funny that we're talking about, Sony blocking this thing, because Microsoft would just be like, do you know what? Have Call of Duty. Go on, you just fucking have it. As long as you leave us the mobile shit, then we'll do it. Because that's where the actual fucking money is. When this thing goes through, Microsoft are all of a sudden going to be a gigantic player in the mobile space. And
that's scary.
We never really, you don't really talk about mobile that much because for various reasons, it's full of hot garbage, etc. But also, it's where all the fucking money is. That's where so much money is, and that really is a huge reason why they're going for this acquisition in the first place.
Absolutely. I mean, they have to cover their bases. Japan is next after this deal.
They're safe though, right? Like the mobile thing is absolutely, I totally agree. That's a massive reason for the acquisition, but Microsoft are coming from almost zero in that space. So in terms of regulators, it's not threatening the market. So, but I agree with you entirely.
Yeah. I think that industry needs a bit of competition. I don't know if Xbox will offer it as a result of actually owning everything as a result of King. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see we only see it through the lens of Call of Duty. And it seems like a lot of the arguments are predicated on this notion. The regulators are focusing on this and cloud, absolutely cloud. But it's going to be a long-winded process until we get this answer, and sometime early next year, hopefully early next year. Let's see how it works out. We can read a couple of super chats. Final topic that we are going to say goodbye. But before we that, Jonas the Dad says, cue Steve Carell office meme for Ryan saying no. It's when the HR guy comes back, isn't it? I think that's what you're alluding to. Victor Alistine, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It is that. What's the HR guy's name?
It's when Toby comes back.
That's it.
Toby comes back. Yeah. What a great show.
There's a better than the UK one, no? Let's admit. It is. Yeah. Victor Alistine, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Perhaps it will be a paid game with a free-to-play mode like Destiny. That's a great point. I have no idea. I'm sitting in the middle. I don't know where Sony will go with this, with The Last of Us factions. By the way, great show. Happy birthday, Asa. Belated birthday, Asa. But yes, thank you. Thank you. I'll say on Asa. Oh, well, there you go. Said it. Final topic, because it's in the title as well. I just want to very quickly touch about the fact I haven't played it. I pre-ordered this stupid pack so I could preload the game. Then I didn't have time to play because I have to make videos. That's right. I make videos for you. That's why I don't get to play video games. Overwatch 2 is out and it fucking doesn't work. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the final topic that has ended. Goodbye. No. What do we say? Overwatch, it's starting to work. I haven't played it. It's barely a sequel. It's a load of shit. Cash grab. Does anyone have actually anything interesting to say?
It's so weird. It's so weird that they stuck a 2 on the end of the title. They stuck a 2 on the end. No one was talking about it in the run up to it. Only it's getting a massive attention because it doesn't work. You know what's really weird though is you go onto Overwatch 2 and if it actually lets you log on right now, I go onto it and it says you've played this game for 19 hours and I'm like, what? No, that was Overwatch 1. Do you even know if this is a sequel? I don't understand what's happening here. It's the most bizarre sequel labeling that I've ever come across.
There's a couple of other studios who have done this. What they call the guys who make RuneScape do it with RuneScape. Like, you know, when people forget what RuneScape is, they go RuneScape 3. And then it launches and they keep the 3 there, and then a couple of months later the 3's fucking disappeared again, and it's just RuneScape. That's what they've done with Overwatch. I play the original 5 years ago or 6 years ago,
Yeah,
whenever
me
it came
too.
out, and it was fun. It was fun at the time, and I'm now playing it again, and I'm in disbelief how little they've done to it. I actually, it's bizarre to me because it's. Let's not beat around the bush. It's the same game. It's literally the same game. Like, they've done nothing. That's not an exaggeration. They have done nothing. It's the same game. And we've been trying to play. My group of friends have been trying to play for the last week. It's been fucking impossible. Like, you can't play. We played last night, and actually the way that we've been having the most fun is just playing customs against each other, doing like 3-on-3, 4-on-4, just with people we know. Because when you play online, because it's gone free to play, there's no balancing whatsoever. Like, there's zero balancing in the game right now. So either you fucking stomp or you get fucking stomped. There's no in between in this game right now. So you can play a game where you just run in, you murder everybody, and the game ends. Or you can't leave spawn, and they're just spamming you. They're just keeping you in the spawn and won't let you leave because they're all obviously better than you. Maybe it'll balance out once people stop playing it again. But
the 2 at the end of it takes the piss. And why did I pre-order it? Well, this is what you do for YouTube, hoping you make a video that you never end up making. You're just like, fuck, and more money's wasted.
Sorry, you pre-ordered this free-to-play game. Why? What did you buy?
The thingy pack, it starts with H or something. I bought the pack, so look, you know what, fuck it, I need to make another video where I'm not shitting on Sony. Let me do some Overwatch preview when it comes out. Bought this thing. The only way to preload the game is if you owned Overwatch 1, which says a lot, or if you buy this pack. Someone in chat will tell me what the pack is. So I bought the pack, £35. That better give me some nice shiny fake things. The Watch Point pack. Thank you, Film Watcher.
You've been conned. You were conned.
I was conned because I wanted to make a video. So for the channel, is it actually any good? Does it warrant the 2? Because I have severe questions around it, and I haven't even played the game yet. Which I'll make the video once I get to play it. But I think the answer, Video Game Donkey did a great video on it, and it seems like it's more or less the same when it does work.
Is it broken, or is it that they're getting DDoSed, or what is it? What?
Both?
I think it's column A, column B, and I think on day 1 they were getting DDoSed. The last couple of days, I don't think they are anymore. I think they just, for some reason, Blizzard aren't able to. They weren't able to see what the demand would be.
That's weird. The first game worked fine for how many years, and now they can't even get 2 out.
Apparently, it's working now, according to.
Well, last night. So the rest of the week, when you've tried to play, you'll boot it up and it'll say there's 2,000 people in the queue, and you wait about 20 minutes, and then it crashes, and then you have to start again, and you go into that loop. Last night, it took us about 10 minutes each to get into the game. So not crazy, but also who fucking waits 10 minutes to get into a video game? Unless it's like some weird Korean RPG, metal thing. Like
I've waited for Destiny in the queues when they drop new content before.
I'm laughing because they've just re-released. They've just done Wrath of the Lich King, World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King Classic, and I know that there are people sitting there with these like 8-hour queues going, "I'm going to play this evening." So some people do.
Yeah,
I've never been into that kind of thing. I'm always like, I'm gonna get that. I ain't queuing to play again. Like, and I'm British as well, so obviously I'm really good at queuing. But I ain't queuing for a video game. That's fucking bananas. It's crazy.
It adds to the flavor. That's why we love queue so much. You get in there, like, you feel like
I get in the queue and I'm like, right, how many drinks can I drink before I get into this game? Let's see how drunk I am before I'm even playing.
That's World of Warcraft experience summed up for us. But shout out to everyone in the chat. It was worth the wait, apparently, and loads of my friends are playing it. Don't know why, but yeah, it was all about WoW Classic.
I played it when it came out years ago. That's when I stopped after. I played through the Lich King.
Oh shit! I didn't know you played World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Yep. I liked it. After Burning Crusade, I stopped.
Yeah. Oh, I was very competitive.
It's like crack. That game is crack.
PvP server and everything, bro.
And what quiet words? World of Warcraft, when the deal is done, will come to Xbox natively on a handheld. That's right. It will come on Xbox. I think it will. They're messing around with controller support.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it does. I hope it does. I hope it does.
Nobody needs that crack in their life. Nobody.
It's true. It's true. It's true. You don't need crack. And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, thank you so much. We had a great chat, as always, of course, with these two gents here. It was going to be lovely, unfiltered truths spoken. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the show, please smash the like button. Got lots of stuff on the way for you. But before we do, we have to say goodbye to these gents and give them a chance to give their outros. The man with I haven't in the 2 hours I've been here figured out what color shirt you're wearing, but Fonzarelli Gaming, I hope you're good, man. I hope you had a great time. And tell people what's in store next. Who have you got next on your show?
Oh, yeah, you can find me at Fonz Gaming here on YouTube. And, of course, I've got my Games Talk Live podcast I do, live every Sunday. Tomorrow I'll be going live at 2:30 p.m., not 2:30. And I'll have Mag, middle-aged gamer. He'll be on.
Oh, that's going to be brilliant.
That'll be pretty fun because he's pretty wild. He's pretty out there.
He is.
But I like his stuff. I laugh at some of the stuff he's done. He's very satirical. I like that sort of thing. I'm still trying to get back into making just regular videos again. But again, it's all about news and stuff. So gaming news is pretty dry. I mean,
it is dry. It's like Theresa May's vagina. It's pretty dry right now.
Ooh, yeah. So anyways, yeah, you can find me at Fonz Gaming. And Games Talk Live tomorrow. And if you just like to listen to it, it's on Apple Podcasts and all the other streaming platforms out there. But yeah, and other than that, I've just I got my lines for the video game that I'm going to be voice acting in, and I'm looking at that and I'm going, wow, it's a recurring.
You mean Soccer
role.
Story?
Soccer Story. I'm going to be doing that as well with, definitely. But yeah, so I'm looking at that and I'm like, wow, it's a reoccurring role, and I didn't know that. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm happy about that. So I'll be doing that this week too, but you guys won't even see it until it's all done. So
yeah, Mike, get Fonz for any game. He's the guy. He's looking to blossom. Just get Fonz.
Looking to blossom.
A great voice.
That's good. I did like the soccer start. Yeah, I might steal you for that. Yeah,
I'm down.
You needed it. It's always better when you open a game up and it shouts the name of the game at you.
Yeah, so absolutely. If it was bloody, what's his name, Kaz Hirai? Was it like Ridge Racer? I would buy that game no matter how shit.
Yeah. You know, I go back to the NES days with the basketball double dribble. Remember that at the beginning when it would just you turn it on as soon as you turned on that NES, double dribble, and that's what you would hear.
But even when you used to turn games on and they said the name of the companies, even just like the Sega. They never do that anymore. It's sad.
Rocket Launcher. Drop Shot. What game? Come on, chat. Drop Shot. Come on, Rocket Launcher. You know what game? If chat, whoever gets that right, I will gift you a membership. I just want to know that before we say goodbye. Rocket Launcher, Drop Shot. Laser Gun. Come on, chat.
It's a drop shot.
Okay, 5.
That's from tennis.
4, 3.
It's Mortal
2,
Shell.
1. No, it's not. It's bloody freaking Metal Slug. Come on, guys.
Metal Slug.
Metal Slug was sick. Drop Shot. Hey, you're gonna just say I did a really bad impression. But yeah, shout out to people. No, it's too late now. But yeah, thank you so much. Last but certainly not least, it's Mike. Always a pleasure. Effortless chat talking to you, and it's great to have you on here, man. I hope you had a great time.
Always, yes. I have nothing to shill. If you want to follow me on Twitter for more horrible takes, then my link is in the where's the chat? It's down there. My link's in the maybe it's over there. It's in the chat. Go on that. I don't care if you do. You know what? I don't want you to. Fuck off. But it's always nice. It's always nice to be on. I'll see you again soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much. I hope it's not too long, and we will make sure if you're still on it, it's not going to be a year or whatever it was, and hopefully get you on with another dev. That would be nice if we get you with Thomas Salah. That was fun. Just get some beers going, just get lit, drunk. Do some lines. And on that note, Asa, you can do the outros. I think I've given many reasons for YouTube to demonetize us, at least for Theresa May.
You give it this is nothing. I'm amazed that our channel is still remotely monetized from some of your videos. If you've not seen Gazzy's videos, do go and check those out. But don't report us. Thanks. Yeah, no, thanks, Mike Fonz. It's been, as always, it's great talking to you both. It's really good to get some energetic, enthusiastic, but also insightful looks at the industry and so on. So thank you very much both for coming along. Thank you everyone for coming and chatting to us, and we will see you next week.